Hey, good morning, Justice Warriors. How are you guys? It is Monday morning, not so early. It's almost 10:30 on East Coast Standard Time, and it's Martin Luther King Day. It's January 16th, 2023. Let me just adjust my shirt. Man, it is just constant with the lights, the cameras, the action. So I thought I had everything under control, and then the shirt decides to be all clingy and staticky. So as long as I'm not staticky, then everything's good. I wanted to talk today about the regular lately, which has been the Idaho 4, Kylie Rodney updates, and also I've been speaking to the Seattle grunge scene. Uh, over time and at the end of last week. So first I want to just say hi if anybody is available. Oh, hey, Alistair Grant. Thank you so much. Thank you, Pamela. I appreciate it. Hey, Jay, Rana, sending light and love to all. Look at you guys just hopping on here. That's awesome. So yes, good morning and blessings to all. I'd like to start out by saying my disclaimer. Everything I say is my opinion only, simply for the sake of opening up a discussion, hoping to have a great conversation with you guys. And it's simply for made for YouTube, which is an entertainment platform. But I hope that it's more educational and not so much entertainment because, quite frankly, I'm here to learn, and I know that a lot of my viewers are drawn to my channel for that same reason. And I feel like I'm learning so much from you guys. So I really appreciate your participation, and I will try to keep up with your comments. So I'll just breeze through them real quick. Good morning and hello, sending light and love. Buenos dias. Finally caught alive. Good morning, Jazz. Good morning, Jazz. Hi, chat. And so let's just name out the people that are here. Alistair Grant, Pamela Deemer, Jay Rana, Annie Ruler, Hoping for Answers, Susan Dodge, and Pixie Knickers, and Rona Jane. Hello, or Rona Jane. So yeah, I just appreciate you guys so much. And for those who didn't catch it, I didn't know how to make an announcement on my channel that I was going to be doing a live panel with What's the Obsession on Saturday night. I think it didn't get started till about 10 o'clock. And I didn't get on panel until after 10:30, I think. And then I was on for just about an hour and 15 minutes, maybe. It was an awesome panel. If you guys haven't checked out What's the Obsession, I think that you would really enjoy Kelly. She is kind of brilliant. she's been doing her channel, I think, for coming up on 2 years this spring. And as the name of her channel indicates, it's What's the Obsession. Cute play on words. And Kelly is a behavior expert, and she has a background and training in law. She went to law school. She'll tell you all about that. She dropped out because she wanted to do other things, chasing waterfalls. And her father was is an attorney, or was an attorney for like her whole life, like 35, 40 years. I'm not sure. He's probably retired by now. Anyway, she comes from a family of lawyers, and she just knows a lot about the law, but she also has more of I'd say like a layman's terms for things. So it's easier to understand, because really the law is super, super complicated. That's why people go to law school. So for us common folk to understand it is tricky business. So she consults with people in her family and gets information. Something that I was the most stunned by in the Saturday night discussion, and it's long. It is 4 hours from start to finish. The first, I don't know, half hour is, I think, just like a montage of some really good photographs of the victims of the Idaho 4. and then getting the discussion going. I hop in close to the beginning of the discussion with a few other people. And then when I got off of the discussion, it still went on for 2 more hours. And I did get to watch the whole thing. And I'm so glad I did, because it was just incredibly informative. So, yeah, viewing the lives is hard because they're time consuming. But when you have a handful of people trying to contribute, it just drags out. I hate to say drags out, because to me, it is not like it's slow paced, but it does take a chunk of time. So, it's important for all of us to feel like we're getting the things done that we need to get done. Like for me on the weekends, a lot of that is just like cleaning and getting my exercise. And so I can listen to this stuff while I'm doing the things that I need to do. Um, and yeah, there's just so many good channels and so much information out there. It can be a bit overwhelming, huh? So Esther says, "Good morning. Grateful to catch your live stream. I did get to see you on Kelly's channel as a replay. Looking forward to the next live." Yes, and it sounds like she's going to be trying to do the next live pretty soon, like in the next couple of days. She is full time at a job with the school system, so I don't know if she might have today off or not. Um, anyway, Squirrely Burger says, "Just wondering if you had a chance to look at the YouTube channel I have recommended checking out." Can you name it again, Squirrely Burger? Because my brain doesn't always hold on to everything, and I definitely try to look at the channels that people recommend. And so if you just want to type it in, then I can remember, or try to anyway. And Hoping for Answers says, "I will go check out the replay." Oh, True Crime Time. I know that I've seen it, but I need to go check it out again. So I'm going to write that down. Thank you for reminding me. Um, and it is so hard to keep up with all the channels that I know and love. So it is super challenging to try to keep up with ones that are new, or like True Crime Time. I know that I've run across it a few times and it is good. So I'll check out what they have lately. Thank you. I love the long lives. Listen, as long as I'm doing other things. Right. You can't possibly like listen to it and just, do nothing. I mean, especially because most of them just have little icons for the faces. I'm one of the only people on there that has like my full setup and whole real face. It's nice for those people probably to have their little icons, because then they can be, folding their laundry or doing whatever they need to do while they're on. Then Squirrely Burger says, "I really think this guy has something to do with it, and I imagine you're going to say opinion." Well, cool. I'm excited to check that out. So thanks again, Squirrely Burger. So one of the things that Kelly said was paying attention to the wording of the affidavit and the order that things are written in. So let's see. In one or two of the press conferences, she quotes the chief of police, James Fry, saying the two roommates were on the first floor. So I didn't get a chance to go back and look at those press conferences, but I thought, well, that makes sense why we all thought that they were on the first floor. Although I do remember the early reports was that they were on the third floor, and that the victims were on the first and second floor. And then the follow-up reports shortly after that were that the victims were on the second and third floor, and that the two roommates were on the first floor. So she quotes the affidavit as saying that in regards to Dylan, the surviving roommate, that she originally went to sleep in her room on the second floor. Originally went to sleep. And I had never caught that word. And that is a key word, because that indicates that at some point she went to sleep somewhere else, right? That the words that are put in an affidavit are all chosen very specifically for good reason. So the fact that it says she originally went to sleep in her room on the second floor indicates that she moved. So it doesn't ever indicate in the affidavit when she might have moved or where she moved to. But that ties in to what Kelly was saying about Chief Fry in the first one or two press conferences, saying that there were two roommates on the first floor. All right. And I haven't tagged any. Sifa, hey guy, how are you? Pin message. Good morning. And Squirrely Burger says, I hate to do this to you, but there was also a live stream that a lady called in another channel, LOL, Drunk Turkey Show. Don't hate to do that to me, Squirrely Burger, because I watched it twice. I'm telling you, I watched it twice. So we'll talk about that in just a second. That's so funny, though, because I wasn't sure I was even going to bring it up, and I'll tell you why. She has two children that go to WSU and has some information and shared it. So, yeah, the first time I watched it, I thought, oh my goodness. And doesn't this woman remind me a lot of MC from the Kylie Rodney case? The way she spoke, the fact that she had one boy, one girl, a lot of the things she said, the rate of the speed that she said them at. But the content creator did say that he accelerated the speed of the conversation. So yeah, let me read through a bunch more of these and then get back to that Squirrely Burger. So yeah, the Drunk Turkey Show. If anyone else has seen it. Esther says, hi, hoping for answers. You definitely should check out the replay. It was a really good one. What's the Obsession? Yeah, I think it was a really good one too. Kelly is a master. Like that girl can think on her feet. She was getting tired at the end. So I mean, she's just like a wizard. She really is. If you go halfway through the live, maybe a little further, she calls in at the end, but talks for a very long time. So there were two of the Drunk Turkey shows. There was part one and then part two. So I think part two was posted late last night, and the other one was posted Saturday, probably. And yeah, I got to catch them both. And so we'll talk about that. And she stated that the house was a drug house and the reason nobody called, yeah. But we also have to remember that she might not be that reliable of a source, may or may not be. Here we go. She just reminded me way too much of MC from the Kylie Rodney case. She stated that the house was a drug house, and the reason nobody called the police until later was because they were cleaning the house out of all the drugs, which people have speculated from the outset, and that would make a lot of sense. There were rumors spreading around both of those towns before 10 o'clock in the morning, and that was some of the most stunning information. She reports that her daughter said, her daughter goes to Wazoo, WSU, Washington State University in Pullman, and that her daughter reported that everybody on the campuses knew about the quadruple homicide before the police were even called. So that's, I think, shocking. And at the same time, with social media and kids and drugs, if it's true that that could make sense, that could possibly happen. Okay, and Caroline says, saw it too, have some serious doubts. I'm curious what your doubts are. My biggest doubt was that she sounded so much like MC. And MC also has a daughter and then a son. And I think that this person who said her name was Kim and that she lived in Seattle, said that both of her kids went to Wazoo and that her daughter was older. Her son was just at the beginning of his sophomore year. So I don't know. By the way, I uploaded a video that goes over the state by state releasing of legal documents that are under the Freedom of Information Act and their rules. It also mentions body cam footage and 911 calls. Awesome, Sifa. You are on it. Thank you. That is very cool. I will check that out. Apparently, there were 3 people outside of that house, one of them being creepy. Did you see the follow-up call last night? I did, yes, Squirrely Burger. So I watched the first Drunk Turkey one twice, and then right after I watched the, first one, the second time I caught the one that was just uploaded last night. He clarified and said that he sped the conversation up because it was 2 hours long. And yeah, I mean, I speed things up a lot, um, and I didn't think that her speech, even at sped up, it wasn't so pressured that it was hard to listen to or anything. She stated that everything as if it was a fact when in fact they are not facts. Right. And there were a couple of times where she kind of dialed it back and said, in my opinion or something like that. But yeah, it's so important. And I really want to speak to that, Caroline, because anything that's not accurate is not going to help justice be served. And we just need to be so careful. I think that it's on all of us individually, especially as content creators, but also as viewers, to speak up when somebody is speculating and not identifying that they're speculating. Um, I just think that the speculation at this point in time is doing a disservice to the victims and the victims' families, and that we just want to be so, so careful of that. So thank you for saying that. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that one. I meant to a second ago. She stated that everything as if it was fact when in fact they are not facts. A mom called into T-Rev last week saying her kids go to college there. She says Greek Row is full of drugs. People need to remember in 20s at college, many take stimulants to stay up and study. Annie Ruler, I wonder if that might be the same caller that called into the Drunken Turkey Show is I think what it's called. And I really like their channel. I don't understand the name of their channel. I mean, it almost kind of makes a joke of it. And their channel is one of the more serious channels. So I don't understand why they're doing that. But I'm sure there's some rhyme and reason to it. GOP Nick says, good afternoon. Have I missed a lot? And you'll have to ask other people. In my opinion, we're just getting started. So Sifa says, Squirrely Burger, did you feel that it helped understand the processes at all? So Sifa has posted a bunch of great information about the Freedom of Information Act on his channel. So that's what they're talking about. I don't know about this mom or the channel promoting it. I felt like she was attention seeking. MC, I do believe even if she was seeking attention, she is real. Okay. Yeah. Whew. MC is a loaded issue in my opinion. I think she's just all over the map, and that she's in cahoots with SF Investigates, because she came out on the YouTube streets the day before that ridiculous fire cam video was released, and she came out to lay the groundwork for the ridiculous fire cam video. So I don't trust anything coming from what I call the catfish crew. And I really wondered if this wasn't a person from the catfish crew hopping over into this story. And I do think it's a ton of attention seeking. Absolutely. So let's see. Hey, at the scene with Haley V. Good to see you all just listening while working. Awesome. That's great to see you here. I did not watch the whole video because there was a lot of reading involved, and I'm busy, but I'm going to go back and look at it completely, watch it over. Who are you talking about? GOP Nick, we were talking about the mom that called into the Drunken Turkey show, or that she called into them and then they called her back. So they posted a couple of videos over the weekend of their conversation with her. And she says that she has 2 kids that go to Washington State University. She even says that she was visiting them that weekend, right? Because it was Parents Weekend at Washington State University. Oh, and then GOP Nick says Megan and Sammy. So the person who was talking to the Drunk Turkey show reminded me an awful lot of that person from that other case. I apologize. I shouldn't have said so much. Oh no, that's fine, Squirrely Burger. You're fine. It also helped the Trinity thing make more sense too. Oh, I'm still super interested in the Trinity thing as well. So for anybody who doesn't know the channel R22 cents, he had put a lot of work into the Kylie Rodney case. A couple of days ago, maybe Saturday, I'm not sure, he took all of his Kylie Rodney content down. And he just put up 4 videos last night. So, or no, was it this morning? I can't even remember now if it was last night or this morning, but he just put up 4 videos. So he hasn't reposted his old videos yet, but he put up some new videos. So yeah, it's the Kylie Rodney case is a mess. And to me, the Trinity Backus case ties right in with Kylie Rodney. There's something very wrong with both of those cases, in my humble opinion. Oh, please hit that like button, hit the thumbs up, share, subscribe if you'd be so kind and feel so moved. The mom stated that BK expected to swoop in as a member of the police, heroically solve the squad homicides. Just nah. Caroline, that's funny. And Sifa says, for at least me, where did that one go? It helped. I mean, it's still weird, but it makes a little bit more sense now. And you're talking about those legal documents. Yeah, it is tough to make sense of it sometimes. That's why I'm glad that I have a good connection with Kelly from What's the Obsession. And also, as you guys may remember, I have military and law enforcement first responders in my family. So it's does me a lot of good to sometimes consult with people that I know as well. Trinity case bothers me because nobody's talking about it, as well as the other 3 people that have just gone missing since. Oh, I know. It is just tragic. It is absolutely tragic and hard to keep up. I do best when I hyper focus, like the true crime and crochet is my hyper focus. I love the name of that channel, but I do best when I hyper focus on one case, and I can, I've broadened my scope. I started with the Kylie Rodney. I broadened it to include Trinity Backus. I've broadened it further, and it gets complicated, especially when you have so many names that are so similar with like Kylie Rodney, Kaylee Gonzalez in the Idaho 4. And then I was kind of silly to bring up the case when I did the Crystal Turner and Kylan Schulte. But it was interesting because I brought that up like a week before they suddenly wrapped it up. I don't know how many of my viewers caught that. I was touching on that case thinking that it had been closed since August. And that was like the last week of the year, right before New Year's. And then the day before New Year's, the Grand County Sheriff's Department did this big presentation stating that they were just closing that case. And I was just kind of blown away because I had literally just brought it up thinking that it had been a closed case long enough and thinking that it needed to be talked about, but then realizing what a bad idea it was to bring in another name that was so close to the other 2 that we're already having trouble with, Kylie Rodney and Kaylee Gonzalez, and then Kylan Schulte. So I felt kind of bad for that, but then when Grand County closed the case, I was like, wow, the timing is pretty wild indeed. And I still am very suspicious of that case. And that case was closed the day before or the same day that Brian Koberger was arrested in the Idaho 4 in connection with that. Let's see, how many of these things have I missed? Sorry. It takes a special person to call into a show and offer up that kind of info. That's a really good point. And also, you know, divulging that kind of information and divulging it in kind of an awkward way, like just spitting it out without any couching it or framework or just kind of the normal flow of conversation. Yeah, it seemed suspicious to me, if that's what you're saying. Grab my coffee here. And I watched and listened to the Drunk Turkey Show caller, and it kind of reminded me of the Kylie woman, Megan. That's exactly what I was just saying, girlfriend. Yeah, um, so much like her. And, at first I thought that they were just very similar. And then the more I thought about it, I thought, I wonder if it's the same actress. Do you think that this Idaho case could be like the Kylie Rodney case, cartel involvement? The girls were interfering with business. What a great question. I'll be honest with you guys. When it first happened, it felt like a distraction tactic, a diversion tactic to me to get people away from the Kylie Rodney case. And I thought, that's crazy, right? That's like total conspiracy theory. But now it just, when I thought, is this person possibly the same person? That's just a little too much. Then I would think that that is really a possibility. Sorry for my shirt button there. Awkward. So I don't know. I don't know. The other thing that's really interesting is that Bethany F, the other roommate, the other survived roommate that we hear nothing about, she, I believe, went to Reno High School. I've seen photographs of her online in her Reno High School basketball cheerleading outfit. So, you know, they always say there's no such thing as coincidence in homicide. And we don't know absolute for certain that Kylie Rodney was homicide. It's my opinion that it was. And we do know for certain that the Idaho 4 absolutely is mass homicide. So, yeah. Hoping for answers says, I believe someone else is involved. In my opinion, someone else might have done the unaliving and Brian was the getaway card lookout. Only my opinion at this time. His defense in getting off. Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think we need to be so careful with any kind of speculation, especially anything that would be the undoing of justice for the families and for the victims. So, yeah, I can't imagine that there's not somebody else that was involved to some extent at some point in time, either before, during, or after. I do agree with you from the Catfish Crew perspective, but here again, at least we know who MC is. Although I don't think she's being upfront. I mean, I think that she was probably paid to go through the circuits of the YouTube, but I don't know. I mean, she seems like she drinks pretty heavy and that she's pretty open about that. And a lot of times when she's on YouTube, it sounds to me like she's drunk. So I want so badly to talk about it. Oh, well, go ahead. You can talk about it if you want. Um, you might be talking in reference to one of the things that you were told that you're not allowed to share with people, which I don't understand how that stuff works because we live in a free country with freedom of speech. So, you young lady just home from work, Menards. And I reckon Brian, he will blame Brent P for the 4 kids. Okay, so Brent, for anybody who doesn't know, is the guy who was taken out by the SWAT team. What was it, December 14th? So 4 weeks later, the SWAT team incident at in Pullman, right outside of the campus of Washington State University. So interesting thing about Brent P is that he allegedly worked for Idaho University IT department, and keeping in mind that the internet was down or the system was down, the night of the quadruple homicide, somewhere between 11:30, I think, and 6:30 in the morning, roughly, that it wasn't working, right? So I don't know if it's been determined like what time it stopped working, but that it was working at around 11:30 at night, and that it wasn't working at about 6:30 in the morning. So not knowing what time it went down. Um, let's see. Right, and thinking that they might try to blame Brent K. Let's see, where am I? Man, you guys got all crazy talking. No, I'm just kidding. I thought I was like almost caught up, but yeah, it's been jumping ahead of me. Let's see. Um, both Brent and Brian have the same initials. Right, 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 right. And yeah, Brent K. So his best defense and prosecution have to prove otherwise. Isn't it crazy how the Idaho Four have similar names to the Truckee case? I noticed that straight off the bat. And CIFA has Trinity's autopsy not allowed to share. We need to flood with Freedom of Information Acts, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I don't understand the not allowed to share part. I mean, freedom of information is freedom of information. And as a private citizen, nobody can infringe on your right to speak freely. Um, but in Northern California, they do what they want, right? I think there is a lot of gematria going on with all these. I don't know what you're saying, GOP Nick. I don't know if that's typos. Somebody needs to try to interview the roommates of the security guard that was shot and killed. Oh, I don't know that he was a security guard, Caroline, the Army vet, but I think that he worked with the information technology at Indiana University, Idaho University, which is very curious. Agreed. That's why I figured if I can't share the info in it, I'll share the info of how to get it, because let me tell you, it was really hard to get it, and I had to basically harass them weekly. Wow, isn't that wild? Yeah, you have to stick with it. They will try to um, get you to go away, get you to get frustrated. Um, I emailed since I've passed of said or someone for directions on how to. We have to be really careful with these types of callers. They can be dangerous to the case and distracting. We have to question the credibility. Absolutely, absolutely. Crime scene at the scene with Haley V. Thank you so much for saying that. I want to leave that one up for a good while. We have to be really careful with these types of callers. They can be dangerous to the case and distracting. We have to question the credibility, right? Because they're trying to say like they have this inside scoop that they've got hands on, boots on the ground, and we don't know anything about that. And Xena's mom is in jail for drug dealing, or at least that's was said that she was. I don't know if she still is. We don't hear anything about Bethany, and that's what makes me so suspicious. Not hearing anything about Bethany, nothing in the arrest affidavit. Very, very suspicious about that. I think DT channel is clickbaiting. You know, a lot of channels are clickbaiting. I mean, right now it almost seems to me that that's what YouTube is just a bunch of clickbait. Like people are just shameless about it. And I don't feel like it should be that way. I feel like it should be, um, honest and truthful, but, who am I to judge? It is frustrating how many channels seem to be clickbaiting and how that just seems to be the norm, that it's all about this numbers game. And to me, it's about quality, not quantity. And it is just dangerous when it gets like that. It's really dangerous, especially when you got justice hanging in the balance. No such thing as coincidence, period. I like to say synchronicity rather than coincidence, personally. Squirrely Burger, who is the other parent arrested same week for drug possession or dealing? Um, yeah, and I forget. It was Xana and who remembers? I don't want to say the wrong name and I'm not remembering, so I'm not going to say. I'm not going to take a stab at it. Something I will share about the info is they have reason to not want it to get out given involvement that's similar to Cough another case. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So you guys might remember my list of like 70 factors that were similar or matching from the Kylie Rodney case, the Trinity Backus case. I'm gonna get back to that because not in this video right now, but I'm not saying that the two are connected. I'm just saying that there's a stunning number of similarities, and I'm interested what Sifa's referring to there, that they have reason to not want it to get out. Um, let's see. Hoping for Answers says that MC was sent into the YouTube world, and you would think that they'd be able to find somebody a little more credible. But then again, people with credibility want to actually have integrity. So, yeah, it's hard to find somebody who doesn't care about integrity, in my opinion. Um, Drive same car and live near each other. Oh, are you talking about the Vietnam vet that was killed by the SWAT team, that he drives the same car? I have not heard about that, GOP Nick. And it's gematria. I'm going to write that down because I am not familiar. Gematria. So same car. That is pretty wild, especially because, as we know, Brian Koberger's car was a 2015, not the 2012, give or take a year that they had said that they were looking for. Um, and Annie Ruler says Nerdy Addict did show and has exact times. Okay, so that was where I had gotten the information initially. Annie Ruler was from Nerdy Addict, and that was where I got the times 11:30 ish and 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. ish. Did Nerdy Addict nail it down from that? Because I watched the one where he talked about first discovering that and calling the FBI to notify them of what he had found. They're charging, if you go through their site now, $27. Oh, Heather, is that the for the public records request for Trinity Backus? $27? Because yeah, usually it does cost something to get a public record. So 27 bucks isn't bad, actually. Frustrating the process that they're requesting is so illegal. I'm not giving them any of my information to them freely. And Geometra is used among the elites, and I would go further and say it's almost like the red stuff sacrifice. All their young, some look very similar to each other and all good looking. Okay, I follow. So yeah, like clone type of thing. I get it. Uh-huh. I think it was CNY Family who showed a photograph of Ms. Kylie Rodney sitting next to a woman that looked closer to her mother's age that looked like a Xerox copy of her. And then there was a little girl that also looked uh, insanely similar. And I think that that's the kind of thing you're talking about there. I'm going to highlight that one. So let me get caught up on all your comments. Let's see. And then there were a couple other things I wanted to mention before wrapping this one up for today and hoping to get in an afternoon video as well. We also have to remember that Brian's defense team will have people joining these channels. Thank you, Haley. You were so smart, girlfriend. You were just on it. So we have to question, who are they really representing? So yeah, that happened with the Chris Watts case. And I know that channels like Zav Girl and Watts the Obsession were very surprised at first, but now we know that that's a thing. And let's see, people will be scratching the dirt now, as in case, and pause till June, and KR is just one long loop. Gotcha. Madison's dad looks like he's addicted. Oh, I don't know. I mean, these people are going through so much pain and suffering. I can't imagine that, just trying to sleep and eat, just trying to take care of themselves. Those things are impossible, just sleeping and eating, when you're dealing with something like this. So, and a lot of people are medicated by their professional physicians, or they're self-medicating, dealing with this kind of stress. Tsunami to put out an amazing video last night. Well, that's always exciting. Squirrely Burger. Yeah, she does some excellent work. Yeah, Brian and Brent, so much weirdness. I might be saying that something may be related, but I don't know what y'all are talking about. I'm just babbling, right? Exactly. Yep. Hey, Sherry and Jennifer. I don't usually make it to any of the lives, but I did today. I really enjoy your work. You can tell you're very dedicated. I won't say much, just wanted to say hello, and you're great at what you do. Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I really appreciate having this opportunity to have a YouTube channel. Not something I thought I would ever do. I have to give a lot of credit to dear Paula from Plunder and Kelly from What's the Obsession. I honestly don't think I would have ever done it without both of their encouragement. And they both work so hard, and I love both of their contributions to YouTube. And I just feel honored to have kind of used them as my mentors. And yeah, like I said, I'm very grateful to have this platform, and I wouldn't have this platform without you guys. So I'd really like to say I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Not heard of Nerdy Addict, GOP Nick. Well, you are in for a treat. Nerdy Addict is awesome. So yeah, not Nerd Addict, Nerdy Addict. And let's see, I think I'm caught up here. Squirrely Burger, great content, close to scene. CC did too. SOF finished up last community meeting video information. It's amazing how much can go on without any checks and balances. Absolutely. And yeah, she's so dedicated. Shanda from Squirrels on Fire. For people that don't know what that SOF, that's Squirrels on Fire. Shanda, she does awesome work. Is CC back in the game? Because she took her stuff down for a while. No, I don't go through vitals. You go through the recorder. Okay. Not clones. I mean, Trinity and KR look similar. Oh, right. Well, they were both very tall and slender and gorgeous. And same age. Yeah. And Kaylee and Maddie. Interesting. Absolutely. Geometria is essentially like coded by numbers and names. Each name has a numerical value in my opinion, my understanding. Very interesting. That is really fascinating. Yes, Nerdy Addict is a computer nerd. He had specific times. Yeah. Yeah. And he has a wonderful channel. I love the Nerdy Addict. Drunk Turkey Show. They are drinking beer during their show. And yeah, they're always drinking something. I mean, that's part of their title. And, they sometimes review who's drinking what. Which I'm 100% sober because I'm an addict in recovery. So I don't like to seem like I'm judgy at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a drink for somebody who's not an addict, that is safe to do that. However, I think that it's a slippery slope, and that it can become a problem without anyone realizing that they're having a problem. That's kind of the nature of addictions. And so it's just something to be careful of. I know that a lot of people have an alcoholic beverage on a routine basis that are not alcoholics, but a lot of those people that don't think they're alcoholics probably are. So just keeping it real. Like I said, not trying to pass any judgment. We all have our things. I've certainly got my caffeine addiction that I'm not shy about. And I finished off my 1 cup, so I'm on to my next one. We all do what we got to do, right? It sucks. I do get a lot of people coming at me over this, but look, I have kids I have to think about, and I'm a financial provider. I have to be careful. We seen what they're willing to do. How old are your kids, Sifa? If you don't mind sharing. If you do, that's fine too. If you don't want to share. The channel is called Drunk Turkey. I'm shocked. I know, when I first heard about it by name, I was like, what? I wasn't even going to check it out, but I'm glad that I checked it out. But yeah, I'm super suspicious of that caller. I'm super suspicious of all of that information. And I do feel like it can be very toxic for justice, for the victims, and for the families. So I'm very cautious there. In my opinion, covers buns for speculation. Attorneys can be ruthless. Absolutely. In my opinion, cover CYA, cover your arse, for speculation. Yeah. Yes, CC is rejuvenated. Woohoo. That's great. We understand the dangers. Be safe. And yeah, everyone definitely needs to understand the dangers. And at the scene with Haley, been sober for 5 years now. Well done. Yes, coffee is my thing now. It's just such a gift. I feel like my sobriety is such a gift. I mean, I never take it for granted. Um, it's just a miracle for me to have the long-term recovery that I've enjoyed. And yeah, addictions are deadly, absolutely deadly, and they really affect quality of life. They affect other people in your family. It's just a tragedy, and I'm all for people relaxing and having a good time, but I think it's really nice if you can relax and have a good time without any substances on board. I mean, just hanging out with your friends and family can be the best high in the world, in my opinion. I have 7 between the ages of late teen to 1 year old. Wow. That's a lot of children. I have 4 between the ages of 20 and 10. Wow. Late teens to 1 years old. Well, congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment. Squirrely Burger says, that's a lot of work. Sifa, God bless you, hoping for answers, says, and me too, my sobriety has come first. Such a gift. Absolutely such a gift. And again, anybody who's struggling with it, don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up. Just talk to a professional. Get some help. It's impossible to do it on your own, in my opinion. I used to look at the channels, but it got too much. So now I just stick with one. It's easier to follow the cases. Oh, that's really sweet, Alistair. Thank you. Thank you for following mine. I like Maddie's dad. He is traumatized. His only child is gone. Yeah, all of these parents, I particularly feel a kindred kind of connection to Steve Gonzalez, Kaylee's father. And yeah, all of these kids, all of their siblings, all of their families, I mean, they have to get justice at a bare minimum. It's just beyond tragic. Something good has got to come of it. Such profound loss. Squirrely Burger, we are used to drink often, and then one day I just decided I can't like it anymore. Now I can't really drink and enjoy it. That's awesome. Yeah, I just, I enjoy it too much. I'll just be honest. I enjoy it too much. That's why I can't do it. I always say the one is too many, 1,000 is never enough, because that's kind of true for me. That's an old 12-step saying. Do we know if BK was drug tested at the time of his arrest? It's a good question. I would imagine that that's standard, but I don't know for sure. Something I can find out. My parents buried 4 children. I never want to feel that pain. Wow. Um, I don't think anyone's being sarcastic, Sifa, although I understand your paranoia. Having 4 children, a lot of people act like that's ridiculous in this day and age when 4 children is not that many. But yeah, it's so uncommon these days for people to have more than 2 in our country, it seems, unless you're Mormon or Catholic. So I'm neither of those. I feel so blessed to have 4 children, and yeah, they're all just so amazing. Any news on YouTube? That's one of those Beetlejuice names. Yeah, I don't even keep up. Sifa, don't worry, they are like adults. I have 3 girls, close to 30s. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly they grow, isn't it? Truly a compliment. Too many kids not thinking feels like we need better parents. Glad Cece's back. Yeah, a lot older than most people think. I know, Sifa. Do you want to share your age? Because I thought you were just a youngin'. Um, I like to share freely. I'm 55 years old, I think, the last time I checked. So I know it's one of those things that a lot of us are curious about other people's ages, and especially women don't often share that information. But, I feel honored to have made it this far. I feel very fortunate to have the insight that I hope that I have, that I've built with my education and life experience. So, I like to say getting old is far better than the alternative, in my opinion. Just coming in now, did you touch on your thoughts about that second BK guy that had been unalived in that SWAT being maybe an accomplice in this? So sort of, not really. I mean, we've spoken about the other guy with those initials that was unalived in the SWAT. Um, you know, it rose a red flag for me instantly, especially when law enforcement was so quick to say that there was no connection between the two. Because how could you know so quickly? How could you know in an hour that there's no connection between the two? Um, so that makes me suspicious when law enforcement is too quick to say that sort of thing. 33 is not old. No, it's not old at all. Um, 42 is young too, Squirrely Burger. I mean, at 55, sometimes I'd like to say that I feel young most of the time. But that's also having young kids keeps you young, and getting enough sleep keeps you young for sure. Let's see. Yeah. See, for your oldest child is 33. No, I think he's saying that he's 33. Twin frat girls. Ah. Um. All right. GOP Nick says 33 is a powerful number, and Phantasmic Ether says, I agree, Jazz. I'm 56, hoping for answers. Well, like I said, it's far better than the alternative. And, it is a fact that people are living longer. So those of us in our 50s could be around for another 40 or 50 years. Who knows? Rona Jane says 59, Fred Field, 75 here, LOL. And my mother passed away this last year. She was only 79. She had a lot of life left in her, if not for the kidney failure. Kidney failure for 10 years took it out of her. But she definitely would have lived, I would say, to be 100 if that had not happened. I'm 49 and I'm single with no children. All you mothers are braver than I am. I don't know how you do it. It is a blessing and a curse, in my humble opinion. At the scene with Haley V, 49, going downhill fast. I stumbled on it last night. Didn't watch much, but definitely will now. You guys, if you guys rate it, and I'm not sure what GOP Nick is saying about rating what. I don't like being my age, but at the same time, the wisdom you gain over the years is worth it, basically. Okay, so I'm going to look at a couple things from my notes and wrap up because we're getting close to the hour, which is kind of my magic cutoff time. I try to keep them on the shorter side with lives. They tend to go longer and longer with so many of us getting involved. So what are the things that I really wanted to make sure to include in this one? Well, you guys know that the Washington State University Criminology Department has a CSI lab that shares body cams and other surveillance camera footage live, I believe. So I think WSU has stated that the criminal defendant did not have access to that, but I don't know. I mean, why wouldn't he have access to it when he's a student there paying tuition? Do you guys know, did the criminal defendant, did he just start his doctoral program at Washington State University this year? Because there seems to be information that he was there a year ago, and it gets confusing. It's my understanding that this was his first term at Washington State University, but I'm curious if anyone has any information that's inaccurate. So, let's see. Oh my goodness, Julianne Jones' dad just turned 90 this past Saturday. That is amazing. And you know who's about that old is Dick Van Dyke. He's doing very well last time I checked. So yeah, I'm really curious about the criminal defendant being in school or in Pullman for longer than just the last few months. Because if he did just arrive, at the same time that he started allegedly stalking these victims, that's pretty striking that he had like just gotten to town and he was already making these weekly trips. I watched the Chronicles of Olivia, and she interviews the Gonsalves family. It was breathtaking. And, I am so cautious about that channel because of the whole clickbait thing. That's one of the channels that I have a really, really bad time with. I know she's got a lot of viewers, a lot of subs. She was on a news station a few days ago, but she has done some things that I just completely disagree with as far as being a content creator. So sorry to speak negatively about another channel, but that's one that I have a really rough time with. GOP Nick says, oh my goodness, you said it as I typed it. And not a fan. Yeah, she just concerns me. I think she's dangerous personally as a content creator. I think she's got no ethics. And like I said, I really don't like to speak negatively. I hate that they did that with Olivia. Right, right. Heather, that is well said, and they just didn't know. I mean, she's such a beautiful young woman. I'm sure so many people are so taken by her looks that they're just like gobsmacked and can't even like see straight. I mean, she's absolutely gorgeous. She's like America's Next Top Model or something, but I just let's see. Age is just a number. Yes, absolutely. So let me I know what I really wanted to say. Please check out my community post if you haven't yet. I think it's my very last community post that I put up on Saturday, so I haven't even done a video since then to guide you guys over there. So I took a screenshot of a map with kind of a chronology of events from the day of the unaliving of the four. And it is a map and chronology of the criminal defendants' movements later that day. Most significantly, in my opinion, is from 5 to 8:30 at night on the 13th, Sunday, the 13th of November, when the criminal defendant went off grid, turned off the cell phone, apparently, and was down in the area of really close to Walla Whitman National Forest in Oregon, which I'm familiar with that Walla Whitman National Forest in Oregon because my husband did a lot of research surveys out there. Get this, for Sasquatch. Actually, he didn't take the job for Sasquatch. He was considering it, but he was out there doing research for marbled murrelet, I think was the bird that he was looking for. But it might have been the kangaroo rats that he was studying. It was probably the kangaroo rats that he studied there in the Walla Whitman National Forest. Anyway, they did actually have a job advertised for a biologist, for a scientist to work on the Sasquatch project. And I told him, we were in our 20s at the time, I said, honey, this taking a job like that could really make or break your career as a scientist. So he did not take it. Anyway, so Walla Whitman National Forest, though, they did have a serious study for Sasquatch there, which I'm throwing that in because it just kind of, to me, speaks to how wild that national forest is, that if they think that Sasquatch could have been hiding out there, could still be hiding out there, then who knows what else is. But this criminal defendant going off grid and going towards that national forest and also towards Native American reservation and crossing state lines, that could well be a plan for destroying evidence, in my humble opinion. So, yeah, there are a lot of national forests around there, but something to know about Native American reservations is that they are sovereign nations, so they do not abide by the laws that the rest of our country abides by. So that's something to keep in mind too. Oh, goodness gracious. Caroline says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Olivia has shown. Oh, unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But I was laughing at the comment right before that. Maybe the criminal defendant is related to Sasquatch. It's the eyebrows. That's too funny. That is too funny. I didn't know I was pregnant until almost 4 months. Okay, GOP Nick, for some reason I thought you were a male, but maybe you're a female, or maybe you're kidding. I don't know. Let me finish up with so where I started with this video today, you guys, which is something that I'm really, really curious about, is that quote from the affidavit that Kelly was talking about in her panel discussion the other night on What's the Obsession. The wording of originally went to bed on the second floor originally went to bed in the second floor bedroom, speaking about our um the one of the survivors, right? So Dylan, um, that she originally went to bed in the second floor bedroom would imply that she then went to bed somewhere else at some point in time. So Chief James Fry had said that there were two surviving uh, roommates on the first floor. So when she went from the second floor to the first floor is the big question. So, um, the other huge question I have that I think a lot of people have is the DoorDash. Was that actually ordered by Xana? Was that food eaten? Could that DoorDash have been ordered by the perpetrator? And was it sitting on the counter untouched? So I do not know. He moved out in June. His mom made some post having an empty nest. It was in Facebook. Right, but wasn't that post she said that he was 26 years old? So GOP Nick says, because he moved out in June, his mom made some post about having an empty nest. It was on Facebook. And I believe that in that post that the criminal defendant's mother made, she said her 26-year-old son, which perhaps was just a typo. Perhaps she was doing, fuzzy math. I don't know. I thought maybe that post was a year older, perhaps. I'm not sure. Um, be able to track the order back to the card they used. Right, Sifa, they should be able to track that Jack in the Box order back to the card that was used. And it could have been like a gift card or something, which wouldn't really be, might be traceable, but would be more challenging. Death Valley Tiger, I would love to know who was charged for the DoorDash. Exactly. Okay. One of my theories, Annie Ruler says, is that the criminal defendant was snooping on body cams, may have selected deceased by law enforcement visits to the noise call. His mom in Pennsylvania called on noisy neighbors. Oh, I hadn't heard about his mother calling on noisy neighbors, Annie Ruler. I mean, we all know about his mother writing a letter to the newspaper about how sad it was that people were cheering Ted Bundy's death, cheering his hurts back in 1989 when he was executed. And she found it within her, she found herself moved to write a letter to the newspaper about it. Kind of disturbing to me. The fact that he was 26 to 28 and just fleeing the nest makes me go, well, absolutely, Caroline. He did go to a university there in Pennsylvania for his undergrad and graduate work. So, it sounds like the mom was just having a harder time with him moving across the country. But yeah, I mean, you would hope that your kids would move across the country or around the world if that's what they want to do, that they'll follow their dreams. I also did want to mention that there was a couple of news channels that have done stories over the weekend on the Idaho 4, Dateline, and 48 Hours. I caught the 48 Hours and I was not very impressed. I think they had some of their information inaccurate. I have not yet caught the Dateline. But I also want to mention the tattoos that the two surviving roommates got. This was on Kelly's show. This was from What's the Obsession, and this was in the 2 hours after I got off of the panel, and I'm so glad I caught this. So the roommates got their tattoos with the little angel wings and the initials of their deceased friends and roommates. and the initials were in the same order that they were mentioned on the affidavit, which normally the naming of the victims on the affidavit would be the order that they were unalived in. So Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan was the order that they're named on the affidavit, and also the order that the two survived roommates got on their tattoos. So um, just very, very concerning, in my opinion. I mean, Dylan and Bethany, I have been giving all of the grace possible in this situation, and that was very alarming for me to hear. The other thing I did want to mention, and then I'll wrap up, is the quote of the initial 911 call going in to the first responders as an unconscious person, that is not necessarily the wording from the caller, that is the wording from dispatch. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's not necessarily what the caller said, it is how the dispatcher dispatched the call, was unconscious person. So I still am really curious about that original 911 call. And I'm going to read the last couple of comments and then wrap up. Here we are, an hour and 10 minutes. How does it happen? Miguel says, I don't think that this is BK's first semester there. He was already a teaching assistant with his own office that also came with a lot of privileges. Thanks for that info right there. Fascinating. And let's see. That's just too weird. I think you'd want to do the letters in the alphabetical order or something more nondescript. I mean, how the heck would you choose order? Exactly, Phantasmic Ether. That's exactly that. Yeah. It really spooks me that their initials, and that allegedly they got those tattoos done like the very next day. I'm not sure, but I almost wanted to make a joke that they went back up to Reno and then went to the tattoo parlor that whose parent was it? The Mags's mother and father from the Kylie Rodney case owned a tattoo shop. I don't know if that tattoo shop is in Truckee or Reno, but Bethany being from Reno, I was going to make a joke, but then I was like, what if? What if? That would just be too freaky. But that's purely speculation, so let's just leave that alone. I don't think, okay, yeah, thank you. Magley, I don't know. I don't know if it's his first semester. If he was a teaching assistant, that would be good information to know if he had already been there. And yes, short-term rentals, mad because short-term rentals having parties. Dylan actually start texting her friends on Facebook or something after the murder, because I think she was in shock until 11. It's so hard to say. So you guys, I am going to go ahead and wrap up since it's getting to be close to an hour and 15 minutes. I apologize when I say I want to keep them short. I want to try to stick to that. So I am going to try to get on this afternoon for a live, maybe around 2:30. So keep an eye out for that. I can't promise, though. I got a lot going on today. And check out NBC 2020 special, aired same evening as the NBC Dateline. Thank you for that. That was the one that I wanted to check out, was the 2020 and Dateline. And yeah, the 48 hours one, I was not impressed. So I will check out those others. All right, you guys, have a great morning. Keep your intake up of your produce and your protein, so your fruits and veggies, your water, stay hydrated, get some exercise, stretch, relax. Hopefully you're being kind to everyone around you, and everyone around you is being kind to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I would love to just keep reading all your comments, but I'm going to have to stop at some point. So I might as well say peace out and hope to see you this afternoon. Sending you guys all light and love. Have a great Monday.